So I'm going to assume here that you've probably heard of the Logitech G502. It's been one of the most popular gaming mice in the world. Now Logitech have updated it with some new and updated features, giving this absolute gaming classic a newly deserved lease of life. It's pretty much nigh on identical in shape and size to the original G502, which was favoured by many gamers. Why fix that if it isn't broken, right? And rightly so, it's a great shape and feel. There are now though several different options that you can go for, which offer different features. There's the wired G502X, the wireless G502X Lightspeed, which I have right here, and finally the G502X Plus, which features some lovely RGB styling, and one that Nick's going to be talking about a bit later on in the video. All three mice come in both black and white colour schemes, of which white is definitely the better option. But of course, that's very much a personal choice, and also depends on the colour of your setup, I suppose. Now prices start at £70 here in the UK for the wired version, right up to £149 for the Plus. So with all of that in mind, let's dive into our review. So coming in at around 102 grams in weight, the Logitech G502X Lightspeed wireless gaming mouse isn't the lightest on the market, but it is far from the heaviest. And being of a bulkier size, you're really going to be pushing this mouse around using a palm grip. It's definitely a mouse for the bigger hands, or those that like to rest their wrists just behind their mouse. The rubber grips down each side are textured for a better grip, and I never really felt myself adjusting my hands too often. It felt very comfortable to use while playing a range of games. The whole mouse is covered in a softer touch plastic with hints of glossy plastic areas, like the detail between the different sections and also the Logitech logo on top. It's very tasteful and looks great on the desk, and again the softer touch coating gives it a level of grip to more easily hit those actions. Around the front you can find a USB Type-C input, which is used for charging the mouse when the battery gets low, though there is Logitech's PowerPlay feature here, which means it's compatible with powered mouse pads, and I'm possibly assuming some kind of dock, though I've not seen anything like that yet. At this point though, let me pass you over to Nick, who's currently testing the G502X Plus version, which includes some RGB effects, but I'll let him tell you more about that.
Thanks, Steph. So yes, I have the top of the line mouse in the range. This is the G502X Plus with a retail price of around £149 here in the UK. And as Steph mentioned before, the Plus essentially means you get RGB built into it, but with some compromises in weight and battery life. When the RGB is on, the stated battery life is reduced somewhat, and the Plus is also slightly heavier at 106 grams instead of 102 grams. The Plus comes with Light Sync RGB, which includes an 8-zone LED lighting area that is fully customizable via GHub. Out of the box, the RGB looks pretty good. It's multi-zone, which means you can customize it quite a lot to suit your desk setup and or sync it up with a compatible Light Sync keyboard, so they both show the same colors and effects at the same time. The RGB area is at the end of the mouse where the palm of your hand sits, which means 80% of the RGB is actually covered while you are using the mouse. Does that matter? Probably not, but some competitors do offer a greater area of lighting, and if you're a sucker for some RGB, you probably like to see the lighting while gaming.
On the bottom, you can find PTFE feet, which aid with gliding across a mouse mat. PTFE is a non-stick fluoropolymer coating which is used to reduce a friction between the feet and the surface it's gliding across. Even on my desk, which is a tabletop from IKEA, you know, the YouTuber desk of choice, can't remember the name off the top of my head now, but that felt alright, and that is pretty much made from MDF. Now I'd still recommend getting yourself a nice felt mouse mat for maximum glide accuracy. Though my mat here is in Logitech, it's actually a glorious mouse pad, it did still feel incredible. Being wireless too gives you the freedom to really lower your DPI for those pinpoint accuracy moments, and I must say it was nice when leading someone using rifles or single shot weapons in first person shooter games. Down below is also a Hero 25K sensor which performs exceptionally well with one-to-one tracking, and the best part, zero smoothing, filtering or acceleration. You can customize your DPI levels up to 25,600 DPI resolution, starting at 100 of course, and its tracking has a max acceleration of 40 G2 and a max speed of 400 IPS. All of your settings can be saved to 5 onboard profiles, so if you take your mouse to another PC, like to a LAN party for example, it will remember your settings, which is a very nice feature. Finally, there is a small on and off switch and a magnetic cover, so you can store your USB dongle if you're going to be carrying the mouse around with you, just so it doesn't get lost. Just lightly press down on the Logitech logo and remove the plate to reveal fill the storage compartment. Now, what I did find quite staggering about the G502X is just the sheer amount of buttons that you have at your disposal to assign actions to in games. Of course, you've got your top left and right click, a scroll wheel, a DPI changer, which can be taken out and replaced with a blank button if you don't need this feature, and 2 thumb buttons, and this is really quite the standard now with gaming mice. But you have got, starting from the left, an extra button for your thumb, which can be found towards the front. Admittedly, it requires a bit of a stretch for me to get there, which I'm not really too keen on. You've got 2 extra left click buttons just left of the main click, left of your first finger, and a button that changes your scroll wheel between freewheel and ratcheted scrolls. Though it feels very tacky and a little cheap feeling, like something inside is going to snap if pressed one too many times.
Just listen to this. And that's the button that changes the scroll wheel between free scrolling and ratcheted scrolling. I don't like the sound of that.
The scroll wheel can be also tilted left and right for 2 more actions, so you've got those there. So really, you've got so many buttons on your hand now that in FPS games you can really only concentrate on WAS and D for movement on your keyboard, and the rest of your setup can be assigned to the mouse. I mean, even something like Age of Empires 4, for example, where I could use several buttons on the mouse for different actions, like scrolling through my available town centres or recalling my villagers to the closest garrison building if I became under attack, rather than reaching around my keyboard to hit hotkeys. Now, in total, you can find 13 programmable controls on the G502X, which I think is a little insane, but hugely beneficial. There's also a small plate on the left-hand side where you can comfortably rest your thumb if you're not using it on the side buttons. The G502X uses Light Force hybrid switches from Omron, offering a nice responsive click with a nice bounce back. They require very little pressure to actually accentuate, which is very beneficial in certain gaming scenarios, where, for example, you're lining up that perfect headshot where heavier clicks may throw off your aim, like when I play a game of Hunt Showdown. Now, I love that game, but you do need to be very accurate with your shots. And the Logitech G502X did somewhat help with that, though I don't think it can help with raw skill, which I haven't actually got. As well as their new flashy switches, Logitech has also used their Lightspeed wireless technology, which allows multiple devices, well, 2, in fact, to connect to one USB receiver, which did come in the box. So if you have this mouse, it can be paired to, say, a Logitech G15 keyboard and run from one Lightspeed receiver, so you don't need multiple USB dongles or cables attached to your PC. Now, that is pretty nifty if you ask me, and does reduce the cable clutter behind your tower. It also boasts very fast connectivity with response times reaching 68% faster than previous generations of the Lightspeed protocol. As I did mention earlier, though, in this review, I wasn't able to access the GHub software before the video went live. So if there is anything special inside of GHub this time round, once it's launched, we'll be releasing new content, so make sure you check back to the channel and the description of this video and a card around this sort of time for that. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to customize my experience fully, but you can expect to be able to change your DPI levels and presets, check the battery level and power consumption, and also change the functions of mouse clicks. There's also a way to set different functions for different games. There are built-in profiles for you to choose from depending on what you're playing, so that's cool to see. It didn't really affect me too much though, to be honest. I mean, sure, it would have been nice to have my adjustable DPI settings because I do use that a lot, but there are always in-game sensitivity options when it comes to game settings, so that got me through my testing and it still felt great. As I said, playing a game of Hunt Showdown, I felt like I had my aim well under control at the default sensitivity the mouse set me at. Now, I would say this was probably around 800 to 1200 DPI, something like that anyway. And moving on to some 2-Point Campus, which is a business management title. The mouse was very smooth moving it around the game world and clicks felt super satisfying. There was one thing I did want to point out though with the mouse, and that's with the ratcheted and free scrolling. If you're playing management games or city builders or RTS titles and it has a map zoom in and out feature, change the mouse to its free wheel. It makes the zooming feel really smooth. However, if you are playing an FPS game which requires the mouse wheel to change guns or accessories or get grenades out, that kind of thing, change it back to ratcheted because it's very inaccurate when changing weapons if you're using it in the free will mode. Before I conclude this video though, I will let Nick jump back in here to talk about his experience with the G502X Plus.
As the X Plus also includes Lightspeed, I was able to pair this mouse with the newly released G715 keyboard, as that includes Lightspeed as well, and allows both devices to function from one USB dongle. I haven't managed to get the beta build for the latest GHub release, so it isn't recognising the mouse just yet. I've had to use the dedicated dongle, but I have used Lightspeed with the G715 keyboard and G705 mouse, and it does help save a spare USB port on your PC. I've been using the mouse generally while surfing the web and playing some MMOs and first-person shooters, which I found the mouse a joy to use. The thumb support is great and it makes it very comfortable to use. The 3 large skates to the underside provide a very smooth glide across my mat, and the buttons are plentiful for an MMO. With multiple skills assigned to each button, it means I can do a lot more on my mouse rather than relying on my keyboard. Compared to the G705 that I recently reviewed and I'm still currently using, it's very different across the board, including size, weight, button quantity, build quality, and price. If you want to know more about the G705, we'll leave a link in the description, or if you want a comparison, let us know in the comments below and we'll see what we can do.
Now, I must say I really enjoy this mouse. From the way it feels in the hands to how it performs within games, the Logitech G502X Lightspeed is definitely a bit of me. Now, Logitech wanted to bring the spirit and popularity of the G502 back, and I think that they've definitely done that here. Their price points I think are very acceptable for release, though of course with Christmas around the corner I can see them coming down a little bit, so you might want to wait for that. And if you're in the market for an absolutely solid gaming mouse and you've got, let's say, hands on the larger side, then the Logitech G502X Lightspeed could be the one for you. Thank you very much for checking out my video of the Logitech G502X Lightspeed gaming mouse. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to keep up with our latest tech and gaming videos, and also let us know in the comments down below if you're thinking about going for a G502X, or you're thinking about upgrading from a G502 because you've had a G502 on your desk for a while now and you want to try something else or get the upgraded version. Let us know in the comments down below. As I say, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.